Oh, today we're doing Mods Lesson 6. I skipped 6.5. It's really just talking about breaking down word problems, whereas this actually is the representation of fractions, okay? Whole numbers and fractions. Uh, so we're going to look at this together. We're going to look at the use of models, and we're also going to look at doing, how we talked about the keep switch flip. You can also write it as keep change flip, which is what is going to be on. I'm going to make y'all a cheat sheet for y'all. So what you're going to get tomorrow is you'll get a cheat sheet that I'm going to print out for you. Like it's going to be anchor charts that are related to everything on the topics that we're talking about. So it's going to be over adding and subtracting unlike denominators. It's going to have the multiplying fractions by whole numbers, and it's going to have the dividing fractions by whole numbers. So you will have a nice, pretty little pocket that you can use, and you can take any extra notes that you need to. There will be one back page that will be blank, so you can use that to your advantage, okay? And if you want to add anything extra to that, you are free to do so, okay? So fractions and whole number division. So, three friends share a 4-pound block of fudge equally. So remember, that means that I don't have a full block, right? I have how much? What? How much do I have? I have a fourth of a block. So I'm starting with part of a whole, right? So what fraction of that pound of fudge does each friend get? So remember, I need to find out the total that each friend gets. So they only have 1/4. So everybody has a split up right here, right? So they only have access to this portion right here. So I need to separate this 1 pound, right? So I already have the fourths, right? So I'm gonna split this fourth into how many parts? How many people are there? 3. So I'm gonna divide it into 3 equal parts. So I'm gonna split this right here into 3 parts. So I'm doing it the opposite direction that it already had it divided. So each friend gets one of these. So what is that equal to? How many total pieces are there? How many total pieces, Pete? Wow. So remember, 12 is the bottom part of my fraction, right? 12 is the whole amount. How many stated? How many stated? 1. So the shaded part is 1/12 of the whole rectangle. So therefore, each friend gets 1/12 of my pound of fudge. Okay. So remember, if I start with a fraction, I end with a what? If I start with a fraction, I end with a fraction. If I start with a whole number, I end with a whole number. Okay. So look, now there's a different example. Brad has 9 pounds of ground turkey to make turkey burgers for a picnic. How many 1/3 pound turkey burgers can he make? So now I'm starting with a whole number, right? So I'm going to end with what? Whole number, right? So I already have the 9 rectangles representing the ground turkey represented. Now I'm going to divide it into thirds. So that means I need to have 3 tens in each. And with division, whenever I start with a whole number, I end with a whole number, right? So that means it's almost like I'm multiplying, right? Just like we talked about, because keep, change, split means to do what? I keep my first number, I change my operation to multiplication, right? And then I flip to the reciprocal. So whenever I am dividing, I'm really kind of multiplying, right? They're related because I'm going to have more pieces, right? Because I'm going to have 9 holes, right? I start with 9 holes. But I'm only using a third of each hole for a burger. So that means I'm multiplying how many burgers I can have. So whenever I divide the 9 rectangles into thirds, I'm finding the number of thirds in 9 rectangles or finding 9 groups of 1/3. So there are how many thirds? How many total thirds are there? Okay. How many total thirds are there? There's 3 of 9. What is it? 3 times 9 is what? 27. So there's 27 thirds. You can rewrite this 9 times 3 equals 27 because it's the heat change rate. So he can make 27 1/3 pound burgers. Once you are done, please go ahead and flip to the next page so that I know that you're ready. Okay. Okay. So number 1, I'm going to use the model to complete the number sentence. So I have 2 divided by 4. So remember, I change, and then I flip. So 1/4 becomes what? I flip these numbers around. What do I do? What is it? 4/1 is equal to? 4/1 is equal to what? 4 holes. 4 holes. So 2 times 4 is 8. Okay? Here, now I'm starting with that fraction divided by 2. Right? 1/6 divided by 2. So if you see, I have my 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The dotted line across represents the division. It's divided by 2. So this shaded piece is my answer. How many are there total now? How many total pieces? 1, 6. 11. There's 11 pieces. There's 12 pieces. But there's 1 out of the 12. Okay. So now, remember, whenever I divide, what do? I keep my number, I change my sign, and I flip my fraction. 5 times 3 is what? 15. 15. I keep, I change, I flip. 16. Here, I keep 1/7. I change my, and then 4 becomes 1/4. Remember, because think of it as 4/1, and then I have to flip it, so it becomes 1/4. So 1 times 1 is 1. 7 times 4 is 28. Keep, change, flip. I put a 1 over my whole number. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 4 is 12. Keep. I change. I flip. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 12 is 3. I keep. I change. I flip, so I get 5, and then multiply to get what? 30. Yeah. Okay. Braylon, are you writing in your book? communicate how my model shows that 1/2 is this, dividing by 1/2 is the same as multiplying by 2. So how do I come up with that? I explain it on the other page. How do I show that dividing by 2, or dividing by 1/2 is the same as multiplying by 2? What happens in this model? What happens? Okay, what's happening here? Well, they both equal 8, that's correct. But how does my model show me that? What happens in my model, first of all? Because there's 8 cubes. So there's 8 pieces, right? So I started with 4, right? I started with 4 holes, represented by the blocks, right? I start with 4 holes, and then whenever I divide each hole by a half, right? It's almost like I am multiplying, right? Because now I created 2 pieces instead of 1. It's like if I have chocolate bars, right? I could have a chocolate bar, and have you ever seen like the Hershey one where you have the 4 pieces on it, right? Okay, you're making more pieces every time that you break them up, right? Or even on a regular chocolate bar, okay? You have a whole bar, but it's broken up into pieces, but there's still lots of pieces, right? I'm multiplying the amount of total pieces. I start with one big thing and then I break it down into the smaller pieces. But it's still more pieces, so I'm multiplying. Okay. Number 10. So how did I get this? This one is the one I think that is the hardest to understand. I actually, whenever I did it with my last class, I actually used sticky notes to represent this. So whenever I had this, right? So they already gave me the original number, the 1/4, or so I have it broken into how many pieces? 4, right? There's 4 solid lines, or 3 solid lines to give me 4 pieces, right? So one of those is a 4. So if I divide that 4 in half with that dotted line, my answer is that piece that's half of that 4. Do you understand that and how I got that? Okay, so you start with a 4, you divide that 4 by 2, and then you get 1/8. Okay. Let's do some word problems because word problems are really where it matters. Because that's what the majority of them are, and they also have, music choice. Okay. So your friend asks you to watch his iguana. He gives you 1/3 of a pound of food for 4 days. 1/3 of a pound of food for 4 days. So first of all, am I starting with a whole number? No, right? I'm only starting with a 1/3 pound of food. And I have to use it over the course of 4 days. So that means I'm going to be dividing 1/3 divided by 4, not 4 divided by 3. It's not 4 days divided by 1/3 pound. It's 1/3 of a pound over a total of 4 days. Okay? So he tells you to feed the iguana the same amount of each day so that you will have no food left over. How much food did you feed the iguana each day? So I'm going to follow my method. I'm going to keep, I'm going to change, and I'm going to split. So I keep 1/3. I change the division to what? What do I do? What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. And then I flip this. Remember, all whole numbers are over 1. So I flip it to what? What 4? 1 times 1 is? 3 times 4 is? 12. So I get D. 1/12 a pound every day. Number 14. So whenever I have this represented, whenever it looks like this, and I see holes and then split up, What am I starting with? A whole number or a fraction? I'm starting with a whole number. So how many total wholes are there? Can we just ask? Hold on. How many total whole numbers are there? Six. Okay. Am I dividing or multiplying? Dividing or multiplying? If it's a division problem, what am I doing? Division. And how many pieces are they divided into? Four. Okay. So that means whenever I actually multiply that, I would get what? Change with. So I get what? Maybe 24, right? A is the correct answer. Why is B wrong? Why is B wrong? Jason. To be a whole number for the answer. You know, like at the end, it's one. Well, this is unrealistic. That's true. But there's also something else wrong with it. Hey. Multiplication. I'm doing a division problem. Why would it be multiplying? Then what's wrong with C? It started off with a fraction. It started off with a fraction. If it started off with a 4, that means that I would have had 4, and then I would have split it into 6. So I would have gone like this, and then one of those would have been my answer. But that's not what we're doing here. And then why is this one wrong? Why is this one wrong? Am I dividing 6 divided by 4? No. I'm doing 6 divided by 8. Multi-step. So 5 people are going to share 1/4 of a gallon of juice. After the juice is poured equally, Sheila gives her glass to Maria. How much juice does Maria have? Hey. So I'm what? I'm dividing what, ladies and gentlemen? I want 4, I want to multiply by 5. What is the starting amount? 1/4 is the amount of that I have in total. And then 5 people are going to. So I'm going to keep, I'm going to switch, I'm going to split. I get what? What am I going to get? Liam. 1/20. So what thing can I automatically eliminate? Every single other one. Automatically eliminate. What about that? I'm talking about the most obvious one. What? Still not the one I'm thinking of. What did I get? I haven't finished my problem yet. I can't have this as my answer because I still have one more step. Remember, Sheila gives her glass to Maria. So I need to have 2 of those together. Which would give me 2 what? 24s. 2 20th. Not 2 40ths because why? When I add my denominators, I only add my what? My what? What do I add? Only. So we're going to get, can I simplify that? What can I simplify it by? Thank you. You simplify by dividing by 2. I don't need that. divided by 2 is 10. So she drank 1/10 of a gallon. Okay. So